So news that shouldn't really surprise anybody who has an ear to the ground of gaming. Bioware is basically pushing everything and everyone onto this one project that they're going to release called Anthem. And under pressure from EA, they have to now push it back to 2019 release. Now, why is this such an important game for them? Well, since about Mass Effect 3, they've had nothing but flops. And they've had nothing but terrible game upon terrible game being released. Now, apparently, apart from Dragon Age Inquisition, which I didn't play, I'm not a fan of that series. I just could never get into it. Every other game has had critical disasters, especially the most recent one, Andromeda, Mass Effect Andromeda, which made them lose quite a lot of money. And now, basically, after closing several studios, they've now only got their Edmonton studios. And basically, the survival of the company itself hinges on this one game. And unfortunately for BioWare, they've got some advisors like this person. I wonder how they could have had so much problems with advisors like this. And honestly, I do not wish them the best, because this is the bed that they've laid, and now they got a fuck in it. Now, of all places, this story that I've got comes from Polygon, a publication that would love BioWare to stay afloat, because those two are both SJW. But, it's kind of funny and ironic to see them reporting on this. Anthem, BioWare's ambitious action role-playing game announced at E3 2017, will not come out until 2019, according to a report from Kotaku, representing a delay past the launch window originally said to be the last quarter of this year. Kotaku's report characterises Anthem's delay as a sign of increasing pressure on the Electronic Arts studio to come back with a big hit following the disappointing performance of Mass Effect Andromeda last year. Unidentified sources connected to the studio told Kotaku that the fall of 2018 window was never realistic. Kotaku speculates that BioWare cannot delay the game beyond March 2019, which is when EA's 2019 fiscal year ends. An Electronic Arts representative told Polygon that the company did not have any comment on Kotaku's story or the progress of Anthem's development. So, interesting. But for those of you who know a little bit about BioWare, we know that there's been a huge spate of departures, and it's only been increasing, apart from those who obviously were made redundant with the closures of several of their studios outside of Canada. They've lost a lot of their talent, and now we've lost even more since the debacle of Andromeda. I do believe that racist Indian guy has since been, Manver Air, that's his name, has since been fired or had to leave. So basically, they've got, a green studio. They've got a group of developers who don't really have much experience beyond making Andromeda. And well, if Andromeda is all they can make, then it seems that not only do they lack experience, but talent. And it's their own fault. And this is yet again another, to me, sign of this lack of talent. They simply cannot finish this game. It's too much for them. Or maybe it's just so bad that they need extra time to try and polish a turd. But I don't know. Let's just continue. There's a belief that if Anthem doesn't live up to EA's expectations, BioWare will look very different in the future, especially after Andromeda's performance, Kotaku reports. The report says that most of BioWare's attention is now focused on Anthem and away from a Dragon Age reboot and the MMO Star Wars The Old Republic, which launched in 2011. Mass Effect Andromeda was a troubled project before it launched in March 2017, and the aftermath ultimately led to a restructuring of the BioWare Montreal studio, with developers from Andromeda reassigned to support the BioWare Edmonton office instead of working on a sequel to Andromeda. Support for the game ended in August, and no post-launch downloadable content was ever created. A departure from how past editions of the AAA franchise between 2007 and 2012 had been handled. It's because it was a flop, and it was terrible, and there was probably nothing they could do that could make this better than it already was. It was a terrible game. It had horrible graphics, horrible story, pushed politics onto everybody, the SAW politics. This is what they've been doing since 2011, funnily enough, with the start of Mass Effect 3 and the debacle that had. I mean, it's pretty clear that not only have they been pushing that, it's pretty clear that not only have they lost talent, but they've also lost touch with the audience, the people who actually buy the games. They seem to be trying to hit this mythical demographic that doesn't actually exist. The demographic they think wants the games don't actually want the games. They just want them to create games like that because, as we know, SJWs don't do this type of stuff. They don't play games as much. They just want it to be like that because control. We all know this. So they've lost touch with the actual fans, and this is what they think we all want when We don't. And it's reflected in the actual sales statistics, but they're not listening. So they're now banking on their whole survival on this one game when they also had 2 other projects that they could be working on. This is also the problem with Bioware. Too few projects, too few games not being released. There's been quite a few cancelled, if I do remember correctly, but let's move on. Kotaku Story goes on to say that Bioware has also re-evaluated its approach to Dragon Age in light of publishing expectations about games as a service. That, combined with difficulties integrating the Frostbite engine, originally built to serve shooters like Battlefield and the Battlefront series, has some in the studio anxious that its fate depends on the success of Anthem and its reception, according to Kotaku. Anthem, an open-world science fiction RPG whose characters wear mechanised combat suits and battle monsters in the post-apocalyptic setting, received a splashy premiere during Microsoft's E3 keynote last June. Next month, however, BioWare's general manager and Anthem's director Aaron Flynn resigned from the studio. He was replaced by Casey Hudson, longtime veteran of Mass Effect development. And this is nothing more than BioWare's continuing misfortune. And if it wasn't for the fact that they made shit games these days, if it wasn't for the fact that, they're pushing the social justice into gaming and courting these people as advisors, and it's pretty clear that it's not working for them, yet they still do it, and the fact that they just don't care about the actual real fans that have bought their games since Baldur's Gate, since well before then. I think they made on Neverwinter Nights. Those people who've stuck around for nearly 20 years have been abandoned in favour of these people who don't even play games, just control every little thing that they do, because politics, because it's the bourgeois thing to do. And this is exactly what they deserve. This is what happens when you sell out and try to push this agenda. You only lose your core following, you lose all the talent from your studios, you lose sales. EA, which demands instant gratification, instant profit, instant success, grows wary and closes down several of your studios outside of Canada. And now you've got one game which looks just so mediocre that I'm surprised it will even sell well. It will not sell well. You've pushed it. You can't push it any further. If you push it back, you're dead. If it flops, you're dead. If it's a success, you somehow survive. In fact, I don't know how they survived even now. Andromeda should have killed the company, but it keeps going. Other companies have died, or are dying, like Telltale's. Telltale company, that's dying. Why? Because of the similar reasons, and also for the fact that games like The Walking Dead, games like Life is Strange, I know they didn't do Life is Strange, but games like that don't sell anymore because they're shit. People are sick of it. It's just oversaturated. And a lot of them are pushing SJW politics. Nobody likes that. This is the result of all this. And you know what? I'm not as gleeful, I'm not as nasty about it as Louis Laveau was in his recent stream, but I have no sympathy for them. And I would love a return to form from BioWare. I'd love to see a new Mass Effect style game, which is just a good game with none of the politics. But I just can't see that happening anymore, because they're just far gone at this point. And anyway, it's been your boy, BioWare. It was fun. Until next time, I'll see you later.